Little background with Don, we've been out to Crystal Cabinets in Princeton, Minnesota, right, Don?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. And they were incredible hosts for us. It was actually the best training we've ever had.
Nice.
When it came to cabinet training.
Yeah, you guys were pretty excited when you got back.
We were.
Yeah.
Oh boy, when did we do this, Don? Was it last year?
Yeah, last year fall? For sure. I think it was last fall. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's where all the manufacturing happens? Is in Minnesota?
Yeah. All of our manufacturing is in Princeton. There's 2 facilities. One is what I would call more of the rough mill. All the incoming rough hardwood lumber, that's where it gets quality checked and moisture checked and those kinds of things. And then that's where they produce all of the hardwood components that feeds the other facility that's just a couple of blocks away. And then that's the main plant that does all of the construction, pre-finishing, assembly, packaging, shipping, corporate offices, customer service, everything else is over there.
Are you guys buying hardwoods from somewhere else? You guys aren't milling that and drying that, right?
We buy kiln-dried, milled hardwood. And then we'll do the ripping and molding and those kinds of things. So we're watching quality when it comes in. We want 6 to 8% moisture on the hardwood, which is primarily what we do. We don't do much softwood product. And just watching that the grade we purchased is what we got, so you know it's what you're getting.
Right. So you guys are totally custom, right? I mean, these cabinets are not box stored. You're not pre-made stuff. It's custom built, custom to that client, right? As the order comes in, you're making it.
Absolutely, and that's a huge misconception in the market too. A lot of cabinet companies get sort of pigeonholed as being a box cabinet manufacturer, and where all of us start that way, you can certainly, everything's in 3-inch increments. I mean, you can buy 27s and 30s and 33s. Nothing really gets ordered that way. We're 100% custom. We don't build anything until you guys order it. So we don't mind if in your design, if you want a cabinet that's 28 5/8, because that's what fits, that's what we build. And we don't charge for that. I don't care if I'm making a 30 or a 28 5/8. We want it to be super flexible so your designers can get as creative as they need and want to be.
Back to the hardwoods, how many wood species do you guys run through there?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say, don't quote me on this, but probably in the mid-teens, 12 to 15 species. And then we also have what we call a special request process. So if someone were to come into you guys and say, for instance, I want mahogany, or I want birch. Birch we've dropped as a standard species. Maple kind of took it over. But if somebody wanted that, we just source it and bring it in and build it for you.
Nice. That's awesome being custom. I mean, I think that's why most people come to us is they want something truly custom. They want something like nothing that's been seen before.
Right.
So they're looking for the latest, greatest, the newest ideas. What are some things that you're excited about coming up in the future? Something on the horizon that is new in the market in your world?
Well, new and popular over the last few years certainly have been the white oak versions. That is beautiful. It's a great species. We do a lot of quartered white oak, rift-sawn white oak. Walnut has gotten extremely popular. And specific cabinets or cabinets with specific uses have really, really gotten popular. I want this cabinet to be, a real common one is the mixer lift. I'm not a huge fan personally. It takes up a big footprint, and you better be mixing a lot to have that in your kitchen. But there's cabinets with the stainless steel cans for utensils. There's cabinets with self-healing knife blocks. So they're essentially a whole pile of polyethylene straws, if you will, and you can just put your knives wherever you want in them. When you pull them out, it just disappears.
Wow.
So there's all kinds of specialty cabinets.
That's what was neat about visiting your facility and the manufacturing process is you see all these different cabinets being built.
Yeah.
It really seems like nearly anything is possible over at Crystal Cabinets. And even from a cabinet designer's perspective, it's great that if a client comes to us and they've got an idea, something that they've never seen before, the team at Crystal will help figure out how to build that cabinet. They'll guide us through that process.
Yeah, some get really complicated, and we don't expect all of our all of our dealers to be able to figure out exactly how that thing goes together. If they tell us what they're trying to do and the space they're trying to do it in, we will absolutely help design that and tell them, in some cases, hey, that's not going to fit in the space you gave us. Or if we tweak it a little, we can make it work. But yeah, we've got a whole department that does that.
So when the customer comes to us with a Pinterest photo and we're able to help that, guide that through there.
And that's why we gravitated toward Crystal. We did an extensive search looking throughout the industry. And what really attracted us to Crystal is not only are they family owned and operated, they've been around for a very long time, but everything is at a very high level. And for us, we felt like we were gaining a partner, not just a vendor, another vendor that we're working with, but someone that's going to help complete the vision of what our clients are looking for. When we're working with jobs that are across the country, you want someone who's going to be there step by step with you. We felt that not only with Don, but also with Crystal.
Right.
The stuff that we saw being made there, I mean, you're even matching interior doors to the cabinets that are being built within that space. So just imagine, we've got plenty of clients that want a butler's pantry attached to their primary pantry. Well, wouldn't that be neat if the door looked just like the cabinetry in that space as well? So you'll do a few odds and ends like that as well.
Right. And we kind of, when you talked about trends and what do we see coming, and we have a process that's called special request. And basically, if your designer can't do it in our catalog, meaning the size or the shape or whatever, we have a process where it's called special request, and they give us a drawing. It doesn't have to be fancy. It can be a hand sketch, as long as we can understand what they want. And we'll produce kind of based on their drawing. And we process about 700 special requests a week. So some dealers go, oh my goodness, I have to do another special request. And my comment is, well, thank goodness you can. Yeah, our catalog would need a two-wheeler if we tried to put everything standard. So,
and Renee, isn't that a relief? So as an interior designer, for you to have clients come to you and for you to know that it's going to be possible through Crystal, and you don't have to try to re-navigate the conversation. You don't have to wonder to yourself, I don't even know if it's possible.
Exactly. I was going to make that same comment. It makes a huge difference on the client's end of things to even have the great customer support, as well as just knowing that availability is there, that you can make those special requests. You, as Zach was saying, you don't have to say no. So it's great on everybody's end, the designer, the clients. It just makes life easier for everybody.
You don't have to pigeonhole them into a certain design. Basically, it's wide open is what it sounds like.
Exactly.
Right?
It sounds like it.
yeah, and everybody, it's certainly at the Golden Eagle level of a build and beyond. People want what they want. They want to know that this is your space. You should have your beautiful kitchen. You should have what you want. You're probably not doing 10 of them, so let's get you exactly what you want, or as close as possible. So of those 700 special requests, we approve 98, 99% of those.
Wow.
The only time we don't approve them is either typically is we can't build it safely.
Sure.
Once in a while, there's one where we'd say, well, we can't put warranty on that. But even then, we might give the dealer the option. We'll still build this. We don't recommend it, but we'll still build it. It just won't have warranty. And sometimes they move forward with it anyway.
What are some of those special requests you're seeing come through? And if it is something that comes through quite often, do you add that to your catalog then?
Yeah, that's what drives our new product offerings. Typically, we look back, we have a new product development team, and basically they'll look at special requests and say, people wanted, well, one we just added, you were just mentioning, it's the sort of the doors that look like cabinets, but they open up and go into your butler's pantry. We had so many special requests for that, where we finally said, let's stop fighting this. And yeah, we just created a cabinet. It's essentially pretty easy to do. It's a refrigerator cabinet. It just has no back. It's got a pair of doors and sides and a cabinet above it, and you just go right through it into the pantry. We just put one in our showroom. It's super cool.
Going back to the special accessories, are there any special accessories that you feel like are you can go over the top with? Like sometimes it's great to really specialize to what your kitchen needs or your specific area needs and what you picture. for your future, right? And then sometimes you can maybe go over the top and like pigeonhole yourself in the sense of, okay, now I can only put such and such in these specific areas, and it doesn't allow flexibility for the future. So do you feel like there's areas that are great to accessorize and then some are better to leave like for more flexibility?
That's a great question. And I think people tend to do that, and some areas in the kitchen will be more standard, if you will, to leave it way more flexible. We're going to put a 30-inch base or a 29-inch base. It's a pair of doors with a drawer over it, and might not accessorize that drawer until they've lived in it for a couple of months, which I recommend to most of my dealers. If the people know specifically the saran wrap is going here, well, then by all means, let's set it up for that. But sometimes it's nice to have them live in that space for a few months and then add the accessories. I want the flatware here, I want this here, I want the spice rack there. So we don't do what you say, we don't put all those accessories in up front and then they go, it either, I don't really need it, I'm not using it, or it's not where I wanted it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because I know when we moved into our house, we moved our silverware once or twice. We were looking for racks for pans. Like, we don't want our pans here. So that is a great point to bring up, is maybe live in that space for a little bit and then add those accessories. I wish we had known that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and we have a process that we call order completion. So our customer service team deals with everything with you guys prior to shipment. So they're working with you on design, they're working with you on placing the order, on the acknowledgments. Then we have our dealer resolution team, which is everything after the shipment. And that group knows that you might be in a little more of a time crunch. This stuff's on site, we're installing, but it's also the team that will help you with those accessories later.
Okay.
So we have your whole order in-house. We know all your specifics. So when you want to add a cutlery tray to a drawer, you just need to tell us it was this line item on this order, and we know exactly what size that was, so the piece will fit perfectly when you get it. Because maybe you cut that cabinet down. Maybe that's a 28 and 5/8 cabinet, and you don't remember that. We'll see that when we make that insert for that drawer.
This may not necessarily be an accessory, but it certainly helps people out. And it's the integrated lighting that you guys offer within your cabinets, even in floating shelves. There are lights that are seamless with the shelf, not even a lip. So you don't even know that they're there, but you see that ambient light shooting up as well as down.
Yeah.
We talked about that a little bit more.
Yeah, and absolutely. And one of the things we see coming more and more, we keep adding more and more lighting as a standard modification that you can do right in the catalog, because it's people, LED is changing the way we live. Right. It is. It's not terribly expensive to do. It runs very economically, and people want everything lit. So about 6 to 8 years ago, we added as a standard modification LED lighting in wall cabinets. And last year we added LED lighting in base cabinets and tall cabinets. The only thing we don't have it as a standard mod in right now is drawer banks, just because we're trying to decide exactly how we want to light the drawer. There's a lot of ways to do that, some not so economical.
I think a lot of the talk has been about kitchen cabinetry in this conversation, but I mean, cabinetry is used in just about every room of the house. Is there an area that you have seen that may not be traditionally used as cabinetry space, but now is becoming, people are inserting cabinets in those spaces?
Yeah, and some might be a little more traditional spaces, but they're just becoming so much more robust and enhanced in what they're doing in there. The mudroom boot bench areas are becoming, it's not just a bench with hooks for the kids' coats. It's becoming doors and drawers and all kinds of accessories and boot dryers, and the bars, obviously basement bars, main level bars are getting huge. Hidden powered things are popular and really fun to do. So we just added a display in the showroom. It's kind of a big butler's pantry display, and there's wine storage and glass doors on the front where the cabinet is about 8 inches deep, but it's really 18 inches deep. And if you touch the cabinet on the side, there's a power servo that will kick out to the side, and that's hidden wine storage.
Oh, wow.
That's for the wines you don't want to advertise to everyone.
Right, yeah. You got to gauge your guests maybe. Like, oh, you guys maybe aren't top shelf guests. Maybe we'll press this button and bring the good stuff out for the good guests.
You get the Monday through Thursday wine. You get the Saturday wine. Yeah.
With the big switch with people spending more time at home and working from home and stuff like that, are you seeing more like office spaces? Do you guys get involved in much of that?
Yeah, and COVID really drove that.
Yep.
Everyone was working from home, so the spare bedroom that was just a spare bedroom was now the office, but we still can't give up we can't give up the opportunity or the need to change that into a bedroom. So we've really seen Murphy beds come on much stronger for that exact application. We just put one of those in the showroom too. It's a home office setup with a Murphy bed, and yeah.
I think that's always a great design element when you can make something multi-purpose. So that's just great that you have that flexibility and just, options for working with those kind of situations. Same thing with bathrooms and laundry rooms and mudrooms and such. Whenever you can make something multi-purpose, it's great in the long run. Kind of going back to our point earlier, giving you flexibility.
We did see that on that Forever Home that we had featured over on the Golden Eagle YouTube channel, where there had been a separate office, but it also had availability for there to be a bedroom in that space. And there was an attached bathroom. We always call it the powder room. That's a pretty elaborate powder room, isn't it? And why is it elaborate? It's so that if that office gets turned into a bedroom, it is a very nice attached bathroom in that space.
Yeah. Are you familiar with K-Biz here in the States? So the Kitchen and Bath Show. There's an international version, Euricacina, which is in Milan, Italy. And we, not every year, but we periodically will send some folks over to kind of see what's going on, because what's going on in Italy, and Europe in general, but specifically Italy, kind of drives the trends. So whatever they see there will probably hit the U.S. within the next year or two on the coasts, especially. We're a little slower adopters here in the Midwest, but it will get here over the next few years. So it's a way for us to say kind of what do we see coming? When they were there 6 years ago was probably the last time before this year. It was mid-height cabinetry. So, especially as we get older, where's the easiest spot to access in the kitchen? This. Where do we put no cabinetry typically? Here. That's where backsplash is. So it's the 3/4 height cabinets. There was very little ceiling trim. Our trainer, I think, said, you had to walk for a day and a half through that show before you saw a piece of ceiling trim. And when there was one, it was more flat, kind of less is more. And we have seen that come for sure. The crowns and coves have decreased, and more just straight trim cabinets to the ceiling, which is a great idea. Otherwise, what are you doing with that space?
Right.
It's
collecting dust, right?
Tchotchke covered in dust. It's not a good thing. Take the cabinets up there, and even though it's high, people say, well, I can't reach that. Well, which is why you weren't going to clean it either. So just put seasonal things up there. Put the turkey platter up there. Put the Easter baskets up there. Put the Christmas candles up there. And then one of the things we see is integrated stools. So you can certainly have a stool in a tall cabinet that you just pull out, but now there are a lot of options. There's the single stool and the toe kick, which obviously only gives you a small raise, but then there's an insert, and I think it goes in I think it'll fit in a cavity like 2 inches, and you pull it out, and then it's a plywood construction, and it folds down from the side, and it's a 2-step stool. Fold it back up, and it slides back in, and it looks like a base end panel.
Oh, wow.
They're really cool. And that allows you to access some of these taller cabinets.
Yeah, the alternative being having that open space above your cabinets and then having dust collect up there, or having to find things to display up there, or just that you have a soffit coming down, which is a more dated look, or it's not as a refreshed look for 2024.
Yeah,
so
no
I like those. I like those cabinets going to the ceiling as well, and you have opportunities to put glass up there.
Absolutely,
it's a great. There's ways to make it look pretty and different.
Right, you can light them, glass up there. Again, some of the lift options. We've seen sideboard buffets with the power lift that comes up. You can have some different storage items in there. It's some displays in there. Those are really cool. And then when it lifts, it trips the switch. So when it's almost all the way up, the lights in it come on automatically. And it's kind of the old TV lift with all kinds of new applications.
Okay.
I think a nice relief to the kitchen planning is when we do have these elaborate pantries that allow for better distribution of space. You've got the things, like the mixer, as you referenced earlier, Don. That mixer can stay in that space. And what really makes it a butler's pantry. We've got, Renee, you were explaining this to me the other day. We've got a few working appliances in there as well.
Usually small appliances, toasters, coffee maker could be in there, as well as some people put full appliances back in there if they want to have more what they consider to be like pretty cabinetry faces, where you always could do that in the kitchen with your appliances as well. But typically small appliances, and then kind of get the mess away from what you're displaying in the
Some
kitchen.
other built-in ones too. We see second refrigerators, second dishwashers, sinks, and then that's the countertop where not all of it needs to be put away. The air pot and then instant pot and all of those, the crock pot, the KitchenAid mixer, those significantly sized appliances, and they can just keep them out on the shelf. And sometimes there's wall cabinets that have doors and then part of it don't. They're just open shelves. Full cabinets, just no doors, and things are just open and easy to get to because once those pantry doors are closed, you don't see it anyway.
Do you see a trend toward appliance panel fronts with your cabinetry? Or
For quite a while.
you're still seeing that?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you're seeing more popularity with just seeing the stainless steel.
Still quite a few appliance panels, and that's one where it is. If a dealer has a boneyard of things, appliance panels are the highest. It is. Some manufacturers are very good at giving cabinet people information for how to build those. Some appliance manufacturers are not. So we really work closely with you guys to say, who is it? What are the specs? You'll create the specs and tell us what you think you need, and then we will double check on our end too to say, I think it needs to be like this, because they can get very complicated.
So if someone knows that they want an appliance panel front, what should they be looking at for appliances? Are there certain types of appliances, like a refrigerator, that they should have their eyes on?
The Wolf Sub-Zero Cove packages are very good at giving us information. We have a couple of dealers that really like the Gagano appliances. They're very good at information. Miele is pretty good. So basically the higher end appliances do a pretty good job. Some start to get a little more. We won't mention the ones that some not on that list become a little more problematic.
Well, it's important because if those appliances and those panels get on site and you want things to move along quickly, and then you realize, well, hey, I loved this refrigerator, but the panels we wanted to go on it aren't to the specs they need to be, that can set the project behind, and that's going to be frustrating for everybody. So,
and there's some relief on issues with appliance panels and some not. Appliance panels are not inexpensive. So if we get wrong ones out there, it's not an inexpensive oops on someone's part. The good news is they probably won't hold up installation. They don't hold up countertop measure. They don't hold up those kinds of things, but they typically are not inexpensive pieces. One of the things with us being 100% custom too, with regard to appliance panels, if a panel gets fairly good size, like a refrigerator, we may ask you to have a center rail in that just for stability of those panels. But we largely don't care where you put it. So if you want to line that rail up with the countertop, if you want to line that rail up with another rail in the cabinet, if you've got a 30-inch tall wall cabinet that's butting up to it, we can put that rail so it matches the bottom of that 30, so you can keep your nice horizontal, clean lines.
Awesome.
So the key word that everyone would be looking for is a panel-ready refrigerator.
Correct.
Is that right? And is there any distinction between something that has, is designed to be flush versus maybe more traditional? It's proud of the cabinets.
Yes. So there are typically mounted appliances which stand proud of the cabinet. There are flush mount appliances that are exactly what they say, sit flush with the cabinets. And my hope and my spiel for you is flush mount appliances are made to go in frameless cabinets. We can make them fit in a framed cabinet. That's not where they were designed to be. And they get much more problematic trying to make them fit. It's a little more work for you guys on site potentially. So flush mount appliances belong in frameless cabinetry, please.
Can you, you said frameless. Can you elaborate on what frameless is for people that may not know what that is?
Sure.
A frameless cabinet.
So there's framed, basically framed with inset, and frameless cabinets. So a framed or a face frame cabinet is kind of like everybody remembers growing up with. It's the cabinet box with typically 1.25 inches or 1.5 inches face frame mounted to the front of the box to cover whatever that box was made of, plywood, particle board, whatever. And then the cabinet door sits over the top of that face frame. Then there's a frame cabinet that's inset, very cool looking, and the door sits flush inside of that frame, not over the top of it. And then there's frameless cabinetry where the boxes are or should be made out of 3/4 inch material, and the door sits on the top of that box. There's no face frame. So the biggest difference is some people call frameless full access cabinets. There's a little more space. A face frame cabinet box really is the same size inside. You just have to get through the opening. But where you really see it is in drawers. You can almost take the one drawer, the framed drawer, and put it inside of the frameless drawer of a cabinet of the same size. You gain quite a bit of space. And in a huge drawer, that's not such a big issue. But if you've got a 12-inch drawer stack, it's a huge increase in space. So we're nationwide, and we are about 65% frameless. And of that remaining 35%, about 3/4 of that is probably inset.
Is that right?
We really see full overlay decreasing. It will never be gone, but we do see it decreasing in popularity.
You talked about big drawers too. I noticed a display that we have in our showroom. Those drawers are huge. I think they're 48 inches wide. Is that correct?
They are.
Yeah.
And typically that's not normal, right?
Yeah, and we just increased that here in the last couple of years where we let you go to that wider drawer as a standard modification now. And we are adding in a product release that's coming out in a couple of weeks, a heavy duty drawer glide. So our current one is 125 pounds, which is incredibly heavy duty already.
It is.
I don't know what you need the next one for, but should you need it, if you want to keep small children in your cabinetry, right. we are having a 170-pound drawer glide now.
Oh,
and
good.
that will switch the bottom of the drawer to a full 1/2-inch drawer bottom with supports under it.
Oh, wow.
So
That'll be great for Justin's dumbbell collection.
I was just thinking, where can I put my weights?
Exactly.
yeah. So that is coming where that will be a standard modification you could do too.
Wow, amazing.
Speaking of that showroom display, the door style, had that been a custom throughout the years and now you're adopting it to being a standard door style, that thin shaker profile? I'm a little unfamiliar with it.
It's getting extremely popular. Mm-hmm. So it's a very narrow style and rail on the door. In either kind of a standard depth reveal or a very shallow reveal for the panel as well. And yeah, that has become, it was probably our #1 door launch of a new door style we've ever done.
So that's pulling from a very popular demand for shaker throughout all these years. But of course, there's an evolution of that. Where are things evolving to? Where are the trends going?
From a door style standpoint?
Doors, and then let's get into colors as well.
Sure. So from a door style standpoint, certainly the one you just mentioned, the narrow profile sort of shaker, mission, craftsman, whatever you want to call it, that's very popular. Still flat panel doors are popular. The raised panels have definitely kind of dropped off a little bit. But just a flush door, just a slab drawer and door is very popular too, because there's so many new materials to use. We can obviously put a wood veneer on those, which we've been able to do for years, but all of the new textured melamines and obviously laminates have been around, but the textured melamines have come so far. There's one out now that's a slab door and the narrow shaker that if you laid it on the table next to a white oak one, you'd be hard pressed to tell the difference. It looks like it, feels like it, it's weighted like it, and it's beautiful.
So what's the advantage to using that product instead of wood?
It's a solid one-piece door, so the movement obviously is slim to none. It's a composite. White oak doesn't move much. From a species standpoint, that's one of the best for wood movement anyway, but it's a little easier to stay consistent too. White oak was a tree somewhere back when, and we can't control what that looks like. We do our best to get you a consistent look, but this product is 100% consistent.
Okay.
Yeah, and color-wise, still white is white. White's been around forever. It will be around forever, but I do see it tapering slightly. Grays are tapering slightly. The sort of the smoky green and that smoky or the dusty blue, those are pretty popular right now.
Are you seeing white paired with those colors often? Like you said, white might be tapering away slightly, but maybe pairing it and having two-toned cabinets in the space?
Yeah, please two-tone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a refreshing look.
Yeah, it looks a little like an operating room otherwise. A stained perimeter and a painted island or vice versa are very popular. And we have some elements in the paint where it can be something maybe not quite as stark white. We have an element we call brushing, which is really, really nice. It's basically we take a perfectly painted door, we'll scuff it, highlight it. So now that highlight just hangs up in that slight scuff, and then we top coat it. And now it looks like a very professionally, almost hand-painted door. It's beautiful, and it just knocks down that stark white finish. So we see a lot of that.
Sheen, that very high sheen gloss, does it knock that down a little bit?
For sure.
Is that what you're saying?
For sure. Not only the sheen, but just the white color in general, because we highlighted it with whatever you picked, brown or black or whichever one. So it'll take that bright white and just knock it down just slightly.
Similar to like a glazing? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it just isn't as heavy as a glaze would be. It's much more subtle. It's much more elegant.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's evenly distributed throughout the whole piece. Whereas a lot of times glazing, sure, it may affect the overall color, but you see it more significantly held up in the cracks or the the different moldings of the door style.
Yeah. Okay. So to that end, one thing we're just adding in the product update that you haven't seen yet, so that little corner highlight that you're talking about when you put a highlight on a door, some people don't like that, and it kind of to some people looks dirty. So we are now offering a standard modification where we call those corner moons. So there's a no moon option now where we will actually cleanly wipe out all of those corners. So you just get the highlight and the moldings in the other places and not those corners.
Oh, wow.
Are there other elements that you can add to the doors? So there's rustic characteristics of the knottiness and some of these hand wiping and glazing things that can also add to making the door look more rustic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is something a lot of people who are going to build Golden Eagle are interested in. Are there other elements you can apply to those doors that would help or would benefit that design style?
There's wormholing, rasping, scraping. There's 6 or 8 different elements that we can do. And then you can choose sort of standard in those or heavy, where we go at your door just a little more aggressively. Yeah. And it does the area where it is an art. This isn't a piece of equipment that puts this stuff on.
It's all done by hand, right?
This is one gal in the shop that does this. Yeah. Oh. She's stress-free. Yeah. This looks like a medieval chamber. There's handles with rolls of keys, there's chains, there's pickaxes, there's awls. Just smile and walk by.
There are even different levels of sheen that are available. So will you speak to the range of that? I'd imagine a high gloss wouldn't necessarily go well with what you're describing.
Yeah.
Right. The flat matte sheens are by far the most popular. We had was about a 33-degree sheen. We called it our standard sheen for a lot of years. We still have it, but it's still called standard sheen. It's not the standard sheen. It's the mattes and the flats. We have an ultra flat that takes it down to, I think, 5 or 6 degree.
And it's wild. I
Yeah.
saw it. I couldn't believe I've never seen anything that flat before.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It'd look really great in a rustic home. Are there any drawbacks to something that flat, though? I mean, is it going to pick up on hand oils? Will those become more prominent? Is that a concern?
No, it still is a finish. It's still a finish you can clean. It's just that they've taken that sheen level. The mill thickness is the same. We've just taken that sheen level down. Where it really fits is one of the elements we do is wire brushing. That actually is a machine, not the lady. And that would typically, you would want that ultra flat. You don't want any sheen on the wire brushed look.
The wire brush is awesome as well.
Yeah.
It's so special that you offer that. Not many companies do. So think about it. It takes away kind of the soft grain in the wood and leaves the raised grain. Well, we see it on some of our finishes in the showroom as well.
Yeah, and then that'll really take a highlight nice. So then you
yeah.
do a highlight on that, and it catches in there, and then top coat it, and it's really cool looking. We don't see maybe the whole kitchen done that way, but that might be it might be a different perimeter, and they do that on the island, or it's a separate buffet on the side, or
There are different construction styles for cabinets. You know, some people say they want a plywood construction. Others may have beliefs on veneers. Will you walk us through, like, what's that conversation look like when you, the expert, are explaining what does today's modern process look like
Right.
when building cabinets, and why may you want to consider certain options as opposed to others
from a construction standpoint.
from a construction standpoint?
So we're our own worst enemy when it comes to plywood versus particle board. We have kind of two levels of cabinets, and a lot of manufacturers will work in this same kind of genre. So our full premium cabinets are automatically plywood cabinets. Our affordable custom line starts as particle board, but you can upgrade it to plywood if you want, because some people just can't get it out of their head that they need a plywood cabinet. There is absolutely nothing wrong with today's particle board. It's not your grandma's particle board. It's moisture resistant. It's a high density. It's not underlayment grade. It is made to be furniture and cabinetry. Screw holding power of particle board is as good as the plywood. There's some materials that will only put on particle board. If you want like a melamine interior in your cabinet, that only goes on particle board. The nice part about plywood is lightweight. So when it comes to installation, your installers will pat you on the back for the plywood cabinets for sure. You can pick that wall cabinet up yourself and hold it up there, because you've probably taken the doors off and the shelves out, and there's not that much weight left there. So from that standpoint, it's very nice. But from a durability standpoint, once they're on the wall, there's not a big difference. But again, we sell more plywood because people want plywood. So,
And what would go over the particle board? Be a veneer or a laminate?
yes. So if it's a particle board cabinet, it's a melamine inside, and it's probably laminate outside, textured melamine outside, something like that. Yeah. We could do a wood veneered one, and somebody might want a white melamine interior. Our standard interior is an actual maple plywood. It's not melamine. It's a true maple plywood.
Melamine might be a new word for a lot of people that are watching or listening today.
Sure.
Will you describe what that is?
Yeah, very simple. Most people are familiar with plastic laminate, which is this right here, which is a high density laminate, thicker. You can see it has a black edge typically. A melamine is just a low pressure laminate, a little thinner laminate, but people have started to do all kinds of really fun textures. It's a great product on a flush door, which we see really growing in popularity. We have several product lines now, or door styles, I should say, that offer textured melamines. And some are, again, some are amazing. The texture in them, actually, some is very linear and some is what we call synchronized. So the texture in the melamine actually follows the wood grain picture, if you will, the wood grain look of the melamine. So a lot of people, again, wouldn't know that isn't wood. Yeah.
I'll admit it. I've been fooled. I saw it at their showroom. It looked incredible.
And we now have edge banding, so obviously the sides will be linear and following the grain. We now have edge banding for some of the doors where it goes across the top and bottom, where the edge banding looks like end grain. So you're looking at end grain when you look down at the top of that door.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Wow.
Back to construction a little bit. I saw the drawers, I'm sorry, in our showroom, and they're made of walnut. Is that a standard for you guys? Looks awesome, by the way.
Yeah, we put it in our showroom 10 years ago, and we started getting so many special requests for these walnut drawer box that we added it as a modification that you can do right in the catalog now.
Okay.
Our standard drawer box is solid hardwood dovetailed drawer box, but some people want walnut, and they might not do the whole kitchen, but they might do some specific ones. But yeah,
Looks awesome. Yeah.
no, it's beautiful. And the dovetails are sanded and finished after the drawer is assembled, so the tails of those dovetails are all finished. They're beautiful. They're little pieces of art.
Would the walnut drawer be more for just looks, or is it a more durable drawer?
Looks.
Okay.
Yeah, you'd be hard pressed to say it's more durable. They're still dovetailed, and yeah, both are going to be extremely durable. But it's when you pull that drawer open, it is pretty impressive.
And that's the thing. See, that's what people first judge when cabinets get installed. They pull the drawers open. And when your cabinets were installed in our showroom, everyone was commenting on how high quality they were. So for us, it's great to be able to represent Crystal in that regard. I noticed that when I was at your showroom, we keep talking about different showrooms here. You guys also have a very impressive showroom as well. You even have cabinet doors where you push them to open.
Right.
That's pretty neat. And you told me something interesting is that it's counterproductive, I believe you told me, to have soft close as well as the push to open.
It's on the drawer glides, especially. For years, you couldn't do it. You could get touch to open, or you could get soft close, because the two mechanisms didn't like each other very well. But now we use, on the fully custom line, we use all Bloom hardware. And we have, so Bloom Mavento, which is their high-end. We used to use a different Bloom one. This one actually, when you pull a soft close drawer open, you feel that little resistance when you open it, because it's reloading the soft close is what that resistance is. And with the Mavento, it's way, way less. You still feel it. I wouldn't say it's gone, but it's significantly less. And it increased our drawers to 125 pound from 100. So yeah, hardware is important.
Where does that hardware come from? You said Bloom. Are they American company as well?
It's produced in the U.S. Don't quote me on this. It's the Carolinas, but they are Austrian based.
Sure.
But the product we get is produced in the United States.
Awesome.
Most of what we buy, hardware and hardwood, plywood, particle board, is domestic. Upper 90% of what we buy is domestic. There are very few things that are an imported product. And through COVID, that was incredibly helpful.
That's what I was going to bring up. I mean, I love the fact that you're American made, and I think that really shined for a lot of companies during COVID. They didn't have to wait for products to come from overseas, and their lead time stayed pretty normal.
Yeah, I don't think our lead times didn't stay pretty normal, but we were able to get product and keep producing, and just continue to take the best care of our dealers that we could. But everybody's lead time did sneak out a little beyond where we would like. But one of the things, back to construction, I should have mentioned, and it kind of goes to this conversation as well, is we have our plywood. We have a very specific specification with our vendor, one unlike pretty much anyone else has, I think. The outer layer of our plywood, so if you look at the edge of plywood, you can see all the plies in there. The outer layer in ours is actually MDF. MDF tends to expand and contract very, very little. So when we or the manufacturer puts a wood veneer on that, or the material that we use for painting, now you don't have near as much issue with paint cracking or veneers cracking because that outer layer is MDF. And we're very specific on thickness. Some people let that fluctuate a lot more with their vendors. We do not, because it has to fit in certain, it has to fit in other things we've done. So through COVID, we couldn't wander to other manufacturers either, because we have very specific things we need to meet your needs and things you've come to expect from us. So it did impact it.
Crystal's been around for many years. And
77.
Wow. And it's had quite an evolution. What's the future for Crystal Cabinets?
77 more, I hope. Yeah, we're the one thing we didn't talk about that's a little unusual in the industry, especially for a company our size, is we are 77 years old, third generation, family owned. Grandpa, son, now daughters run Crystal Cabinet. It's not going anywhere. A lot of cabinet companies our size have been gobbled up by the big guys, and it typically isn't good for you as the end user. And there's no intention for anything like that to happen at Crystal.
Great to hear.
Yeah.
Everyone's very well taken care of there as well, from from a team and family standpoint.
Yeah.
We went over to the second generation owner's home when we were there.
Yes.
That was incredible. And he wasn't the one to tell me. It was someone that works at Crystal that was sharing that there's even some partnership with local medical facilities.
Oh,
So
yeah.
an employee can go, and if they're sick with something, they can go get looked at right away, and it's taken care of by Crystal.
Yeah, it's something I should mention immediately because it's pretty impressive. And this is about 3 years ago, Crystal opened a Crystal Family Care Clinic, which is literally down the frontage road from the plant. It's a block and a half away. It is for Crystal employees, spouses, and dependent children that can be seen in the clinic, typically the same day at no charge.
Wow.
A lot of prescriptions are no charge, depending on specifics. And it's for a lot of reasons. One is we just want to take a really good care of our employees. We have a lot of employees that have been with us. When I started, the tenure was 19 years, was the average tenure. Wow. It's great for employee retention. It's great for attracting new employees, and just the well-being of everybody who works there, because we have 535 people. There's a lot of folks.
Wow.
And when you walk around, they've got their heads up. Everyone, okay, let me give you some background. I've been to plenty of manufacturing facilities, and I've generally come to learn that as you walk around them, people are just going to kind of keep their heads down, kind of do their thing. When you walk around Crystal, people are proud of what they're working on. Mm-hmm. They're willing to tell you about what they're working on. Mm-hmm. They've got their heads up. They're making eye contact. They're smiling. They've got waves from the distance. You get the similar thing when you hear a Golden Eagle. It's just so rare to see it at a much larger company, and especially within the manufacturing scene. So I thought that was very special. I think it speaks to the kind of values and the culture over at Crystal, and that starts at the top.
Yeah, it really does. So, and you saw when you were there, so when we bring dealers in for training into our showroom, we bring dealers in from around the country once a month for 10 months out of the year. Oddly enough, people don't want to come here in January, so can't understand why. But the president of Crystal usually stands up at the training and gives a little spiel, welcomes everybody there, and he'll tell you the same thing. Cabinets at the end of the day are sawdust and glue. There's a lot of people build cabinets in similar fashions. It's the people. It's the process. It's the term we use around Chris. It's the love that goes into it along the way. And he'll tell you when you're on tour, hey, walk up and talk to somebody. You might have to ask to leave. They're going to talk to you for as long as you'll stand there about what they're doing. It's a great place to tour, and you can just feel the attitude.
Well, it's incredible. Crystal's definitely taken the world of cabinets to a whole new level. And that's why we really appreciate the partnership. if people want to learn more about Crystal, where do they find out about you guys?
Actually, we do a great job with our website, which is just crystalcabinets.com. There's all kinds of photos of projects, door styles, and we've now made it where you can pick a door style and a species, and it will actually convert those so you can see your door style and your species and your finish. So it's pretty interactive, and that's a great spot to get some additional information or contact you.
Super. Well, thank you, Don. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Imagine a life where your home is a work of art, a place you're proud to welcome family and friends into, with a custom Golden Eagle log and timber home. Our expert team is here to guide you every step of the way.